your host, Shreem bin Mohammed Rafi, and here is my YouTube channel, Zamir Universal. Everyone today and for the last 75 years, and especially in the last 4 months, has been witnessing the most tragic, terrible, painful genocide in action, in slow motion, war crimes after war crimes committed from IDF, young boys and girls inducted in Israeli army as soldiers, mocking, laughing, shooting, intimidating, blindfolding, kicking, every cruel act. The people of the whole world have been watching on social media, on Twitter, on WhatsApp, on TikTok, on electronic media, and reading in the print media. The conscience of the whole humanity is dead. What to talk about Holocaust Remembrance Day? They had one full page ad in New York Times addressed by Rabbi, the Jewish preacher themselves, addressed to Joe Biden, Joey Biden, the Sleepy Joe, the worst individual on earth, the facilitator of genocide, the provider of billions and dollars to kill, maim newborns, stop their water, food, medicine, electricity, destroy their habitat, flatten the whole country, and deprive those people from their beds and rooms and homes to sleep, and have nothing to eat, starve them to death, and we are watching them running like animals for a sack of flour. We're watching the kids sharing one small morsel with their siblings and having nothing left for the parents and vice versa. What I think, a film, what a tragedy unfolding. Many of us have not seen the Holocaust, but have seen the pictures, have read about them, listened to the Holocaust survivors, and these are the sons and daughters of the Holocaust survivors, the preachers, the followers of Torah, quoting Torah, the genocide is being committed, and Joe Biden, the American president, is a complicit. I'm going to, with these few words, say something about the International Criminal Court of Justice with a president, a woman herself, an ex-employee of the State Department and an American, falling short of calling for the ceasefire, is as guilty, is as complicit as Joe Biden, as Netanyahu, as his all war cabinet, as his IDFs. So there are few people whose pictures I'm going to show to you, repeat to you again and again, and many of you should memorize that and put it in the memory and pass it on to your generations, that these are the people who should pay the price for being complicit. And the tables will turn. The criminals, the cruels have short life. And the latter words are, I think, self-explanatory, and parts of that letter I will repeat in this. The rabbis quoted Torah and told that what good is it, Mr. Biden, that you are providing bombs, you are providing billions, you are aiding in this genocide. Is this how you are sympathizing with the Jews? Is this the meaning of never again? Never again mean never again for anyone. And the rabbi, the Jews themselves, are touched by this tragedy and say, our heart goes out when we see the Palestinian women and children, elderly, wounded, being treated like this. The universities, the schools, the colleges, the hospitals being flattened, and see small little newborn babies covered in coffins, white coffins. Now, this is the extent of cruelty where the International Criminal Court of Justice just lip service and shied away, obviously influenced and pressurized by the Jews and their main supporter, United States of America, to their ex-employee, to change the last minute and not call for the ceasefire, because that was the only thing which would have guaranteed the distribution of food. The hundreds and thousands of trucks carrying water, food, to cross the Rafah border and distribute to every corner of north, which they have flattened and made a false promise that south being safe, then bombed and flattened center of it, and now proceeding on all the way up to the ocean and the borders, and in such a small tiny enclave where habited by 2.2 billion people. This is how deceitful, how the lies of this man, which I'm going to show you again and again, is the present, not Hitler, but a super Hitler, plus Hitler, the cruelest person on earth, Netanyahu, and who is stubborn, who is insisting on keeping the war going, doesn't care for his own people, he gassed them. Look at the Jewish woman, knowing fully well that he is 18 years old, was killed by the gas. They let it into the tunnels. And so this was the Netanyahu and his war cabinet's idea. So imagine how many more their people would have been killed. So there are many grieving women in Israel itself. And this fellow is getting away with this genocide, murder, and war crimes. These war criminals should be debarred, sanctioned. They should not be allowed to travel. They should be arrested to any country you find them. They should be held from the collar responsible for their heinous crimes which they have done, including the American.
יחי עדננו, מורנו ורבנו, מלך המשיח לעולם ועד. עם ישראל חי. עוד פעם! עם ישראל חי. כל היום אני רק על
לא להתעסק עם הצה"ל שנמצא כאן, אנחנו נסיים אותו.
עם ישראל חי.
An Israeli historian, associate professor of Holocaust and genocide studies at Stockton University, where he's also an endowed professor in the study of modern genocide. Raz Siegel joins us now from Philadelphia. Professor Siegel, welcome to Democracy Now! Lay out your case.
Thank you for having me. I think that indeed what we're seeing now in Gaza is a case of genocide. We have to understand that the UN Convention on the Prevention and Punishment of the Crime of Genocide from 1948 requires that we see special intent for genocide to happen. And to quote the convention, intent to destroy a group, as defined as racial, ethnic, religious, or national, as such, that is collectively, not just individuals. And this intent, as we just heard, is on full display by Israeli politicians and army officers. Since 7th of October, we heard Israel's president. It's well known what Defense Minister Yoav Gallant said on 9th of October, declaring a complete siege on Gaza, cutting off water, food, fuel, stating that we're fighting human animals and we will react accordingly. He also said that we will eliminate everything. We know that Israeli army spokesperson Daniel Hagari, for example, acknowledged one-tune destruction and said explicitly the emphasis is on damage and not on accuracy. So we're seeing this special intent on full display. And really, I have to say, if this is not special intent to commit genocide, I really don't know what is. So when we look at the actions taken, the dropping of thousands and thousands of bombs in a couple of days, including phosphorus bombs, as we heard, on one of the most densely populated areas around the world, together with these proclamations of intent, this indeed constitutes genocidal killing, which is the first act, according to the Convention, of genocide. And Israel, I must say, is also perpetrating act number 2 and 3, that is causing serious bodily or mental harm and creating conditions designed to bring about the destruction of the group by cutting off water, food, supply of energy, bombing hospitals, ordering the fast evictions of hospitals, which the World Health Organization has declared to be, quote, a death sentence. So we're seeing the combination of genocidal acts with special intent. This is indeed a textbook case of genocide.
Can you talk about the displacement? Israel saying that the entire northern Gaza, now hundreds of thousands of people have complied, must move south. The northern part of Gaza is the most populated with Gaza City.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, as is well known, this is an impossible order. It's impossible for specific groups of people in hospitals, people defined as disabled, elderly people, many Palestinians who refuse to leave their homes because of their histories and their memories of the Nakba. This is an impossible order. It's yet another indication of the intent to destroy, the intent to commit genocide. It's also worthwhile to emphasize Defense Minister Yoav Gallant new term that he coined, complete siege. It seems like a completely new term that really takes what was already a 17-year siege on Gaza, the longest in modern history, which is already a clear violation of international humanitarian law. It takes this siege and now turns it into a complete siege, which really signals the turn to this kind of genocidal destruction that we're seeing, including with this eviction order. It's also worthwhile to try to explain, I think, why Israel is so explicit in its declaration. We've heard Israel president talk about evil. We've also heard about Biden's use of the word evil. EU leaders describe the Hamas attack as evil. And it has to be said, the Hamas attack were clear war crimes, the mass murder of more than 1,000 Israeli civilians, a horrendous war crime that rightfully shocked many Israelis and many people around the world. But evil is not a term to describe them. Evil is a term to decontextualize. Evil is a term to demonize and to really enhance the widespread fantasies of Israelis today that they're fighting Nazis. Actually, former Prime Minister Naftali Bennett said that directly in an interview yesterday. We are fighting Nazis. We see this in many other indications in Israeli society and politics today. And if we're fighting Nazis, then everything is permissible.
Professor Siegel, I actually wanted to go to the former Prime Minister Naftali Bennett, who's currently in the Israeli army. This is from a few days ago, where he exploded at the Sky News anchor Kamali Melbourne during an interview Thursday when Melbourne pressed him on Israel's attacks on Palestinian civilians. This is a part of what he said.
What about those Palestinians in hospital who are on life support and babies and incubators whose life support and incubator will have to be turned off because the Israelis have cut the power to Gaza?
Are you seriously keep on asking me about Palestinian civilians? What's wrong with you? Have you not seen what happened? We're fighting Nazis. We don't target them. Now, the world can come and bring them anything they want. If you want to bring them electricity, I'm not going to feed electricity or water to my enemies. If anyone else wants, that's fine. We're not responsible for them.
This is the point.
But you
this
keep
is the
on.
point.
I want to tell you. No. Listen. You listen
you're
to me
raising
right
your
now.
voice,
I've heard you enough.
No, I understand. We're trying to have a
I've heard a lot of
conversation
you.
here. Listen, this is my program. This is my show. And I am asking the questions. You're raising your voice,
but it's my
and I've
country,
asked you,
and
we've already stopped, please, and let me finish. We've already distinguished between Hamas.
Mister. I want to tell you, shame on you.
You're trying to speak over me.
We are not. Shame on you.
It's nothing about shame. We're trying to have a conversation about a very serious situation here, and you are refusing to address it.
So that is the
of destruction. South Africa says this is evidence of genocide. Israel says that's an outrageous accusation. According to a 1948 convention, genocide is a crime committed with the intent to destroy a national, ethnic, racial or religious group in whole or in part. That, South Africa says, is what Israel is doing in Gaza. Just look at the statistics. Israel has killed more than 23,000 Palestinians. More than 300,000 housing units have been damaged or destroyed. And around 85% of the population has been displaced.
There's no place in Gaza that is safe. We've seen the number of people that Israel has killed, but not just killed and wounded, but they've destroyed the infrastructure and made it so that life in Gaza is no longer possible.
Then there's the question of Israel's intent. Look at what Israeli politicians have been saying since October the 7th. Israel's president, it's an entire nation out there that's responsible. Its hardline Minister for National Security, they're all terrorists and they should also be destroyed. And the Deputy Speaker of Parliament. We all have one common goal, erasing the Gaza Strip from the face of the earth. But can any of this be said to be
यूनिवर्सल टेलीविजन को सब्सक्राइब करना ना भूलें, उसके बाद बेल बटन पे क्लिक करें और अपने कमेंट्स के सेक्शन में अपने कीमती जो ख्यालात का इजहार जरूर